The world tells you empires are built on risk and ambition. That is a lie. They are built on silence, the ability to hear the cold math of reality when others hear only noise. We will not discuss Rockefeller's wealth. Today, we decode the operating system that allowed him to see what others could not. The mind is not a vessel to be filled, but an instrument to be forged. Most individuals wander through life with a mind that is a product of accident, shaped by random inputs and emotional weather. A mind of high function, however, is a product of deliberate architecture. It is designed with intent, its components precisely calibrated to perform a specific task, perceiving reality with absolute, dispassionate precision. This was the fundamental secret that separated the visionary from the merely ambitious. The difference was not in their desires, but in the design of the internal engine that processed the world. To attribute such a systematic outcome to mere luck, or to the crude impulses of greed, is a profound misunderstanding. It is an attempt to explain a symphony by describing the shape of the violin. The success was not an event, but a consequence. The result of a meticulously constructed mental system operating day after day with unwavering consistency. This system was not a secret formula locked in a vault, but a philosophy of perception, an internal code that governed every thought and every decision, turning chaos into predictable, manageable variables. We can distill this internal architecture into a framework, a code of 4 interdependent principles. Think of them not as separate skills, but as 4 pillars supporting a single, unshakable structure. They are clarity, observation, detachment, and endurance. Alone, each is a virtue. Woven together, they form a cognitive lens that filters out the distortion of human bias, emotion, and short-term thinking, allowing the operator to see the underlying mechanics of the world as they truly are, not as one wishes them to be. The ultimate goal of this mental system was not the accumulation of wealth itself. Wealth was simply the most convenient metric of its efficiency, a byproduct of its flawless operation. The true obsession was with order, with a systematic elimination of waste and inefficiency, first within his own mind, and then projected onto the world. The chaos of the early oil industry was not a deterrent, but the perfect raw material upon which to impose this internal sense of logical mathematical order. His empire was merely a physical manifestation of his mental state. What follows is not a history lesson, it is a blueprint. We are going to dissect this mental machinery piece by piece, examining the function and purpose of each component. This is not for passive admiration, but for active study. The principles that governed his perception of the 19th century industrial landscape are timeless, because the flaws in human perception they were designed to overcome are equally timeless. Consider this the schematic for a more powerful way of seeing. The first pillar is clarity, but not as the world understands it. It is not about having a clear goal. It is the relentless, even painful, pursuit of objective reality. It is the discipline of stripping every situation down to its fundamental, quantifiable facts, removing the seductive layers of opinion, hope, and fear. The mind must become a pristine ledger, where every entry is a verifiable fact and every calculation is ruthlessly logical. This ledger is not a record of the past, but a predictive model of the future, based solely on the data at hand. This form of clarity is an active, ongoing process of purification. It demands that you constantly question your own assumptions and the assumptions of others. It requires you to seek out disconfirming evidence, to find the flaws in your own logic before your competitors do. Most minds are a fog of half-truths, emotional narratives, and unexamined beliefs. A mind built on this principle is a blade, honed to a razor's edge on the stone of empirical data. It cuts through complexity to the simple, often brutal, truth of a matter. The language of this clarity is numbers. Rockefeller thought in numbers because numbers do not lie, they do not flatter, and they do not have emotions. A balance sheet tells a story with no bias. A production report is a verdict, not an opinion. By translating every aspect of his enterprise into cold, hard data, he insulated his decision-making process from the volatile sentiments of the market and the persuasive but often flawed arguments of men. He trusted the calculus of reality above all else. This practice of numerical thinking served as a powerful psychological shield. During periods of widespread market panic, when others were driven by fear, his decisions were anchored to the unchanging logic of his ledgers. During bubbles of irrational exuberance, when others were seduced by greed, his actions were constrained by the sober reality of his figures. He was not immune to emotion, but he had built a system that prevented emotion from ever taking control of the operational helm. This obsession with clarity manifested in his core business strategy. While others gambled on the chaotic and unpredictable work of oil discovery, he focused on refining and transportation. Why? Because these were systems that could be controlled, measured, and optimized. They were problems of engineering and logistics, not of luck. He chose to operate within the domain of the knowable, the realm where clarity could be weaponized into an insurmountable competitive advantage. He saw the industry not as a gold rush, but as a geometry problem. He applied this same principle to his product. In an era where kerosene was often impure and dangerously volatile, he made the name of his company synonymous with a consistent, reliable standard. This was clarity delivered to the consumer. He He understood that in a chaotic market, the greatest value one can offer is predictability. He was not merely selling a product, he was selling order. He was selling the simple, clear promise that the lamp in your home would burn brightly and safely every single night. The second pillar of the code is observation. This is not the passive act of seeing, but the active, disciplined art of noticing what others overlook. The average person looks at the world, but a master of this code observes it. He observes it as a biologist observes an ecosystem, understanding that the whole is a sum of intricate, interconnected parts, and that the smallest detail can reveal the state of the entire system. Observation is the process of gathering the raw data that fuels the engine of clarity. This discipline operated on both a micro and a macro scale. The famous story of his visit to a factory, where he noticed that 40 drops of solder were being used to seal a can when only 39 were necessary, is a perfect illustration. That single, observed drop, multiplied across millions of cans, translated into a fortune saved. It was a testament to a mind that never stopped scanning the environment for inefficiency, for the small deviations from perfection that, in aggregate, represent massive waste. This was not an isolated incident but a continuous practice. His habit of walking through his facilities in complete silence, saying little, was a form of active meditation. He was not there to command, but to absorb. He was observing the flow of work, the morale of his men, the subtle sounds of the machinery. He was collecting data points that would never appear in a formal report but were essential for a complete understanding of the operational reality of his enterprise. He trusted his own direct observation above any second-hand summary. This meticulous attention to the small was then scaled up to a breathtaking view of the large. He did not just observe his own factories, he observed the entire industrial organism of the nation. He saw the network of railroads, the flow of capital, the patterns of supply and demand, and the psychology of his competitors not as separate elements, but as a single, interconnected system. He understood the inputs and outputs, the bottlenecks, and the points of leverage, with a clarity that no one else could match. The creation of his infamous trust was the ultimate expression of this systemic observation. While others saw a fragmented and inefficient industry, he saw the blueprint for a single hyper-efficient machine. He perceived that the relentless competition was creating a colossal amount of waste-duplicated pipelines, pointless price wars, and unstable supply. His solution, from his observational standpoint, was not an act of aggression, but an act of supreme rationalization. He was simply implementing the logical conclusion of his observations. This ability to zoom out from the single drop of soda to the entire continent-spanning economic system is a hallmark of this mindset. It is the capacity to shift perspectives, to see both the tree and the forest, and to understand how the health of one is dependent on the health of the other. Most people are trapped at a single focal length. He had developed the mental optics to see it all, at once, as a single dynamic whole. This is the power of true multiscalar observation. The third pillar is detachment. This is perhaps the most difficult and the most powerful of all. It is the ability to separate oneself from the emotional charge of a situation, from the pull of ego, and from the outcome of a decision. It is the practice of viewing events with the impartial curiosity of a scientist observing an experiment. This does not mean being cold or unfeeling. It means preventing feelings from corrupting the pristine logic of the mental ledger. It is the guardian of clarity. This mental state allows for a level of calm and rationality that is almost superhuman in moments of crisis. During the great financial panics that gripped the nation and the titans of Wall Street were consumed by fear, Rockefeller was a pillar of stability. He did not see chaos, he saw mispriced assets. He did not feel panic, he felt opportunity. His detachment from the collective hysteria allowed him to act decisively and rationally while everyone else was paralyzed by emotion. Think of the mind as a fortress. For most people, the gates of this fortress are wide open. The news of the day, the opinions of others, the fears for the future, the regrets of the past, they all pour in, creating chaos within the walls. A detached mind is a fortress with a single, heavily guarded gate. Information is allowed to enter, but emotion is not. Data is analyzed, but it is not allowed to trigger a reactive, fear-based response. The commander of the fortress remains in a state of calm, strategic control. The most challenging form of detachment, however, is not from external events, but from the internal voice of the ego. It is the ability to be wrong. It is the strength to abandon a failing strategy without regard for sunk costs or personal pride. A mind attached to its own correctness is a mind that is brittle and fragile. A mind detached from its own ego is fluid, adaptable, and relentlessly effective. It cares for the correct outcome, not for being the source of it. This detachment from ego was evident in his approach to talent. He famously sought to hire men who were more intelligent and more skilled than he was in their respective domains. An ego-driven leader sees such individuals as a threat. A detached leader sees them as an asset. He was not interested in being the smartest man in the room. He was interested in achieving the optimal result, and he understood that this required harnessing the best minds available, even if their brilliance might eclipse his own. Ultimately, detachment is the source of true mental freedom. It frees you from the psychological chains of hope and fear, which are the two great distorters of reality. Hope can make you blind to risk, and fear can make you blind to opportunity. By detaching from both, you are left with only one guide: the cold, clear, and utterly reliable calculus of the situation at hand. This is the state in which the highest quality of decisions can be made. The final pillar is endurance. It is the capacity to persist through time, pressure, and adversity without deviating from the chosen course. It is the understanding that the most powerful force in the universe is not sudden genius or bold action, but the relentless application of a small advantage over a very long period. Endurance is the element that multiplies the power of clarity, observation, and detachment. It transforms a sound strategy into an unconquerable one. It is the mindset of geological time. While his competitors operated on a timeline of weeks, months, or perhaps a few years, he operated on a timeline of decades. He understood the profound power of compounding, not just of capital, but of knowledge, reputation, and strategic position. He was willing to make investments of time and resources that would not pay off for 10 or 20 years, a time horizon that was simply incomprehensible to those seeking quick profits. This patience was not passive. It was an active, strategic weapon. This long-term perspective provided him with immense psychological resilience. For decades he was subjected to relentless attacks from the press and the government. He was for a time the most hated man in America. A mind focused on short-term approval would have been broken by this pressure. But because his focus was fixed on a point decades in the future, the noise of the present day was just that noise. It was transient, emotional, and ultimately irrelevant to his long-term calculus. Endurance is the quiet, unglamorous partner of brilliance. Many people have moments of clarity. Many can make a sharp observation. Few have the mental stamina to stick with a plan through the long, barren winters of no visible progress. They are seduced by new, exciting ideas, or they are worn down by setbacks and criticism. Endurance is the discipline of showing up, day after day, and executing the plan, regardless of the immediate feedback from the world. This principle is what allowed his system to become so deeply entrenched. Each year that his enterprise endured, its roots grew deeper, its efficiencies compounded, and its position became more unassailable. He was not building a company for a single lifetime. He was building a dynasty, an institution designed to outlast him. This required a form of thinking that transcended personal ambition and operated on the level of legacy. It is the difference between planting a garden and planting a forest. Without endurance, the other three pillars are rendered ineffective. Clarity is useless if you abandon your clear-sighted plan at the first sign of trouble. Observation provides no advantage if you do not have the patience to act on your insights over the long term. Detachment is a mere intellectual exercise if it does not give you the strength to withstand years of pressure. Endurance is the foundation upon which the entire mental edifice is built, turning a brilliant mind into a historical force. These four principles do not function in isolation. They form a closed, self-reinforcing loop, a true operating system for the mind. Keen observation provides the raw, factual data that is the fuel for clarity. The rigorous process of achieving clarity reveals what new information must be sought through further observation. This is the basic loop of learning and refining one's understanding of the world, a cycle of perception and analysis that grows sharper with every rotation. Detachment acts as the system's firewall. It protects the pristine core of clarity from being corrupted by the viruses of fear, greed, and ego. It ensures that the conclusions drawn from observation are logical, not emotional. A brilliant observation is worthless if a surge of fear prevents you from acting on it, or if a burst of ego causes you to misinterpret it. Detachment is the guardian that stands at the gate of the mind, ensuring the integrity of the entire process. Endurance is the power source that keeps the system running over the long term. It provides the strategic patience required to let the decisions born from clarity and protected by detachment come to full fruition. The world is filled with brilliant flashes of insight that die out for lack of persistence. Endurance is the deep reservoir of energy that allows a sound strategy to survive the inevitable storms and droughts, to outlast the competition, and to harness the inexorable power of time. This synergy creates a powerful cognitive flywheel. Each element strengthens the others. A commitment to endurance encourages a long-term perspective, which naturally fosters detachment from short-term noise. Detachment allows for clearer observation, free from emotional bias. This enhanced observation leads to a more profound state of clarity, and the confidence born from this clarity makes it easier to endure through periods of doubt. The system, once in motion, generates its own momentum. This is the essence of the code. It is not a collection of tips or a set of habits. It is a holistic, integrated way of perceiving and processing reality. It is an internal engine designed for a single purpose: to see the world as it is, and to act upon that vision with unwavering, long-term resolve. To master this code is to fundamentally re-engineer the self, transforming the mind from a reactive vessel into a proactive, strategic instrument. The true value of this code, therefore, is not its potential to create an empire of industry, but an empire of the self. an internal state of order, resilience, and unshakable clarity, the ability to navigate the complexities of life not as a victim of circumstance, but as a calm and rational architect of one's own reality. This is the ultimate power that Rockefeller obsessed over, the power to see the hidden levers that move the world, simply because he had first mastered the levers that moved his own mind. The coda of Rockefeller is not a map to wealth, but a compass to reality. It is proof that the greatest competitive advantage is not found in capital or technology, but in the quality of one's own consciousness. The modern world, with its endless stream of information and its demand for instant reaction, is a system designed to destroy every one of these pillars. To cultivate clarity, observation, detachment, and endurance is therefore the ultimate act of intellectual rebellion. If you are committed to the difficult journey of building your own mental fortress, subscribe, for there are many other architectures we must examine.